welcome back to our channel on this beautiful day. We have some incredibly explosive and chilling updates for you today regarding the latest twist in Genoa City. Grab a comfortable seat and prepare yourselves, because the Newman family is about to face a nightmare unlike anything they have ever encountered before. Let us dive directly into the dark, twisted events unfolding right now. The sheer frustration of Victor Newman has finally reached an absolute boiling point, setting the stage for a catastrophic confrontation that will shake Genoa City. For weeks, the police department has proven to be entirely useless, bumbling through their investigation of the notorious Matt Clark with a level of incompetence that Victor finds deeply offensive. The legendary patriarch of the Newman Empire has never been a man to rely on the sluggish wills of the local justice system, especially when the safety of his family is on the line. Witnessing the agonizing deterioration of his son, Nick Newman, who is currently battling a severe fentanyl addiction directly caused by Matt Clark's tainted drugs, has ignited a murderous rage within Victor. He has officially decided to take the law into his own ruthless hands. In a terrifying display of his immense wealth and unyielding power, Victor has mobilized his elite, private security forces, transforming them into a highly lethal, tactical manhunt squad. He has gathered his most trusted operatives, exerting a massive amount of pressure on them to scour every dark corner, every seedy motel, and every abandoned structure in the surrounding area. Victor's directives are chillingly clear. They must locate Matt Clark before the psychopath can launch another devastating attack on Sharon, Noah, or Nick. The Newman patriarch is operating under a heavy shroud of paranoia and protective fury, fully aware that Matt is a ghost from the past who specializes in inflicting maximum emotional trauma. Victor demands immediate results, making it abundantly clear that failure is simply not an option. The central enigma driving Victor's relentless pursuit is the highly contested nature of Matt Clark's alleged amnesia. While some residents of Genoa City are aware that Sienna Bacall struck Matt over the head with a heavy rock in the unforgiving Nevada desert, seemingly causing a genuine loss of memory, Victor Newman refuses to be played for a fool. He looks at the supposedly blank slate of Matt Clark sitting innocently at the athletic club and sees only a meticulously crafted facade, a deceptive mask hiding the soul of a predator. Victor is acutely aware that even if the amnesia is currently real to some extent, it is merely a ticking time bomb. It is only a matter of time before the dark, violent memories flood back into Matt's consciousness, unleashing a fresh wave of terror. Victor is determined to strike preemptively. The intense, high-stakes manhunt eventually yields a critical piece of underground intelligence, leading Victor to a desolate, decaying warehouse situated on the forgotten, industrial outskirts of the city. Operating with cold, calculating precision, Victor makes the fateful decision to attend this secret rendezvous completely alone, leaving his heavily armed security detail behind to ensure there are no witnesses to the dark deed he intends to commit. The atmosphere inside the abandoned structure is thick with the scent of rust, damp concrete, and impending doom. Shadows stretch long and menacing across the cracked floor as Victor navigates the labyrinth of forgotten machinery, his hand gripping the cold steel of a loaded firearm concealed within his tailored jacket. He is stepping into the abyss, fully prepared to cross the ultimate moral line. Deep within the cavernous, echoing shadows of the warehouse, Victor finally corners his elusive prey. Matt Clark stands before him, projecting an aura of confusion and vulnerability that Victor finds utterly repulsive and entirely unconvincing. Without a single moment of hesitation, Victor draws his weapon, leveling the heavy barrel directly at Matt's chest with a steady, unwavering hand. The tension in the air is palpable, a suffocating silence broken only by the sound of Victor's cold, authoritative voice echoing off the concrete walls. He delivers a chilling monologue, detailing the horrific pain Matt has inflicted upon Nick, the absolute terror he has brought to Sharon, and the unforgivable sin of targeting the Newman bloodline. Victor prepares to pull the trigger, his eyes devoid of mercy, fully convinced this is the only path to safety. However, just as Victor applies pressure to the trigger, preparing to end the nightmare once and for all, a sound pierces the heavy silence that freezes the blood in his veins. It is a laugh, a high-pitched, deranged, and chillingly familiar laugh that echoes from the darkest, unseen corner of the warehouse. Stepping out from the obscuring shadows, her face twisted into a grotesque, triumphant smile, is none other than Patty Williams. The sheer, paralyzing shock that washes over Victor Newman's stoic face is a rare and terrifying sight. This is a woman with a long, tragic history of severe psychiatric instability, violent outbursts, and a deep-rooted, dangerous obsession with the Abbott family. Her sudden, inexplicable presence in this isolated warehouse shatters Victor's carefully calculated assassination plan with unpredictable madness. Basking in the glory of Victor's stunned, uncharacteristic silence, Patty gleefully proceeds to drop a series of massive, paradigm-shifting bombshells that completely rewrite the narrative of the past several months. With a twisted sense of pride, she reveals that she is the grand mastermind behind the entire theatrical production of Matt's amnesia. While the initial head trauma may have been an accident, Patty confesses that she opportunistically swooped in, manipulated his fragile psychological state, and weaponized his blank slate for her own diabolical purposes. Furthermore, she unveils the most shocking secret of all. She and Matt Clark are not just allies in madness, but they have been secretly, legally married for years under a carefully constructed alias. They are a united, married syndicate of terror, waiting for the perfect moment. Before Victor can fully process the horrifying magnitude of this revelation, before his brilliant, strategic mind can calculate a counteroffensive or turn his weapon toward this new, unhinged threat, Patty moves with the terrifying, unpredictable speed of a cornered predator. Lunging forward from the darkness, she plunges a heavy-duty syringe, filled to the brim with a powerful, fast-acting sedative, directly into the side of Victor's neck. The physical sensation of the cold liquid flooding his bloodstream is immediate and devastating. Victor, a man who has spent his entire life exerting absolute control over his environment, his family, and his enemies, is suddenly plunged into a state of terrifying helplessness. His vision blurs into a chaotic swirl of colors, his knees buckle beneath his immense weight, and the loaded gun slips to the floor. When Victor Newman finally claws his way back to consciousness, fighting through the thick, suffocating fog of the powerful sedative, he awakens to a grim, nightmarish reality that defies comprehension. The cold, unforgiving dampness of the warehouse floor seeps into his bones, but it is the heavy, agonizing weight of thick iron chains wrapped tightly around his wrists and ankles that truly signals his catastrophic defeat. As his blurred vision slowly begins to clear, adjusting to the dim, flickering light of the abandoned structure, he realizes the ultimate, humiliating indignity of his situation. He is not just a prisoner, he is chained directly next to his sworn, mortal enemy. Matt Clark, no longer projecting the innocent confusion of an amnesiac, sits beside him, his eyes burning with a cold, calculated malice that confirms Victor's absolute worst fears. Matt Clark leans in, his voice dripping with a venomous, triumphant satisfaction as he delivers a diabolical monologue that outlines the true, horrifying nature of their revenge. He looks at the chained, helpless Victor and declares that simply putting a bullet in his head would have been far too merciful, far too easy of an escape for a man who has caused so much pain. Matt's strategy is one of profound, prolonged psychological torture. He wants Victor to live, to breathe, and to be completely, agonizingly helpless while he is forced to watch his beloved Newman Empire, the legacy he built with his own blood and sweat, be systematically torn down and reduced to ashes. Matt intends to strip Victor of his power, his dignity, and his family, making the great patriarch a frontal hostage to the total annihilation of everything he holds dear. Standing over the two chained men, Patty Williams revels in her newfound position of absolute power, her deranged mind fueled by years of perceived slights and historical grievances. She has never forgotten how Victor coldly manipulated her fragile mental state, using her as a pawn to destroy Jack's marriage on a yacht, only to discard her when she was no longer useful. Now, Patty plans to use her position as Matt's wife to tear down the Newman legacy piece by piece. Patty and Matt represent a dual revenge plot of apocalyptic proportions, a perfect storm of calculating cruelty and unpredictable insanity. Their combined hatred places both the Newman and Abbott families directly in the crosshairs of a massive, coordinated attack. Victor is now a helpless prisoner to the very woman he once paid to do his dirty work, leaving the gates of Genoa City wide open. Back at the sprawling Newman ranch, the absence of their patriarch will soon trigger a wave of paralyzing panic and extreme vulnerability. Nikki Newman, already consumed by visceral horror and maternal terror over Nick's severe fentanyl addiction and his agonizing withdrawal symptoms, will be thrust into a new, unimaginable nightmare when she realizes her husband has vanished without a trace. The Newman Empire is currently in a state of severe instability. Victoria Newman's ruthless AI framing plot against Phyllis Summers is already unraveling spectacularly due to Lily Winder's tactical prison break, and now, without Victor's guiding, iron hand, the family is completely exposed. The protective shield that Victor has maintained around his loved ones has been violently shattered, leaving Nick, Sharon, Noah, and Victoria entirely defenseless against this wrath. The terrifying, indelible image of Victor Newman, a man who has spent decades controlling his own destiny, manipulating governments, and crushing his rivals, now reduced to a helpless, chained prisoner in a decaying warehouse, marks a profound shift in the power dynamics of Genoa City. The psychological torment of knowing that his family is completely exposed, that his son is fighting a life-threatening addiction without his protection, and that his empire is at the mercy of a deranged couple is a torture far worse than any physical pain Matt or Patty could inflict. The stage is officially set for one of the darkest, most twisted, and emotionally harrowing chapters in the long, bloody history of the young and the restless. As Patty's manic laughter echoes through the shadows and Matt's cold eyes promise unimaginable suffering, the residents remain unaware.